Alright, sorry about that. Let's see what we got here. What's going on, everybody? 43,000. All right, let's kill this music here. Hey everybody, how's it going? It's gonna be a fun session. We got a breakout underway. How's everybody doing? Good to see everybody. Bitcoin is breaking out. So, you know, we have the most important trend line in crypto here, as Jordan would call it. Jordan CTM, Conquer Trading and Investing. And I've got my key indicators, the 120-day SMA. They're right next to each other, so this is going to be interesting to watch this breakout. Before we get rolling, though, we had a this breakout here, so I wanted to go live a little bit early. So my stuff isn't quite as lined up as I'd like it to be, but let me share with you guys before we get started. You know, this is not. I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and this is not financial advice, so please don't go blindly take any trades or make investments based on what you hear here today. This is education and informational, and if you do blindly take trades on things that we talk about here today, you're likely going to lose all your money and end up living in a van down by the river with Doge and Boneholder here. Alright, now with that said, Bitcoin did break the most important trend line in crypto. I actually put a trade on. I will share with you guys. Let me throw in some light music in the background for myself. I'm going to share with you guys what my trade entry criteria was on my first leverage trade. So I posted here just a few minutes ago on Twitter, and then it started going crazy right after So I made my trade, then I posted on Twitter. Let's see here. So you can see my trade entry was this 12-hour candle. So this is the first time that we've actually, other than this false breakout into resistance right there, this is the first time we've taken the key level I've been watching this whole time is this 40,543 is what I have on my chart here. But this level is the key level I was watching. And so when we broke that and closed I guess it was a daily above it, and then we had the 12-hour retest of it. When we took out that 12-hour candle, is actually coming into the trendline resistance is where I went ahead and placed my order. Now, why did I do that early? I consider this false breakout over here, right where we tried to break up, hit resistance, and sell off. I consider that the first test of that trend line, and I'm willing to take a small entry coming into the second test of that because this whole sell-off, basically, you know, the market showed us strength coming back into that trend line, and this was, to me, if I look at it on a lower time frame, I'll show you what I was looking at. It very much was consolidation under resistance. Right, this is what I call consolidation under resistance. So you hit the resistance, you back off, you come and test it again, you make a higher low, and then you come back in. Why is it's being so, I got this magnet tool on, that's probably why. There you go. And then it breaks, right? And then it breaks that level. So when we broke what was the high of this 12-hour candle right here, to me that was that was going to give it enough force to break through the trend line. So basically I put my entry right here. I guess I probably actually entered by, I placed the entry right here right as we were coming into the trend line, and it broke through. So I have a small entry, initial entry on here. Now my next, for me, I really want to close a daily above this 120-day SMA, and then I will probably take another small leverage entry on the next opportunity I see after we get this closure. It might be if we open really close to it tomorrow, and it looks like we're going to come right back into it and test it as support, which would be right around this level right here. I have on the 4-hour, I guess this is a daily level. That daily level right there at 42.37 will be right at where the 120-day is going to be. So if we close this daily above the 120, and tomorrow we come back into this Heath level, I'll call it. It's not really a Heath level, but it's just where this several days of daily turned over. This was key resistance, and we broke that too. If we can close above both those levels, tomorrow we'll probably come back in to retest them. Today we'll probably come back down there. But if we get a close above this and then retest this tomorrow, this would be a good place for me personally, not financial advice. This is my opinion. I would probably put another small trade on here, another entry on here with a tight stop loss below probably this level I have right here, below the trend line, below probably my main. So right now my current stop loss is, if we were to close below this wick low right here at 39.8 roughly is my current stop loss on this entry, right around there. Right, so that was the entry right here coming into the trend line, and right there. My next entry will be, I'm hoping I'll get an entry tomorrow after closing the daily. Tomorrow, if we come back into these levels somewhere in here, I will go ahead and put a position on into that support test with a tight stop loss. Probably, I'll have to think about that. I might go pick out a 12-hour spot. This spot looks like a good spot right here for a tight stop loss, actually, right there. This is our one attempt at a green. I'll probably put it right there. There you go. Our one attempt at a green daily, and then it turned around on us. So the bears regained momentum quickly here. So this will be another key support if we can close above it. So for me tomorrow, I'll be looking at a buy into 42.228 with a stop loss just below 41.615. If I make that purchase, I'll have to think about this some more. I need to move this stop loss up as well, probably. So I very well may. I'll tell you all this. I'm talking this through right now as I'm just literally looking this through right now as I'm thinking about this. If we were to get that retest, I probably just put a smaller position on and continue my stop loss way down here, and then put a bigger on a resumption. Then I'll go ahead and move both of these. Just looking this through, I'll move these up to that level I just found right there. Price stop loss right there on resumption, and then take a third entry. So I'll probably just make that a real small entry tomorrow coming into support, and then on resumption is when I would, this is not financial advice, it's just what I'm just looking this through right now, just talking it through. You guys are seeing me work through how I would work out my trades. Now, of course, we can close above this and just take off, and we don't ever get that retest. So what do you do then? Well, for me, I have a position on, for each of you, it's up to you to decide based on your strategy. For me, a close above these levels is a pretty good entry. Just a daily close above the 120 is every time it's closed the daily above the 120, it's not the worst time to try to just to place an entry, right? So that'll be another important one to me. We're above our trend line, and we're above this level. You're likely going to get some contesting of this level. It might not last long, but you see I have a 45.2 level that we still have to break through here. So this would, technically speaking, this is probably my initial take profit target, which is the daily low over here from February. So I will have to watch as we launch out of here. I will be watching the launch angle as we leave those levels that we're coming out of. Maybe right here, I'll draw my trend line. We'll start. This is my first trend line right here. My first launch angle is right there. If we come into that resistance and roll over and come down below this launch angle trend line, then I will trim some of this position I have on in profit and look to buy back a support test lower, right? And then we'll try again. But let's just see if we keep on trucking here, if we can maintain this parabolic launch angle. All right, let's take a look at comments. I just want to take a moment to dissect what I'm seeing on the main Bitcoin chart, and then we'll go from there. Let's take a look at comments though. Hi there from the office. Hey Michael. Hi from work. Hi Joe. Ajith. Let's see here. All in, chase that momentum. Hello, yes, we can close above resistance. Well, I like your optimism. Hi, guys. Hey, folks. Not financial, all in, not financial advice. Hey. Thank you, Abe. Snap, identical entry. Nice, Rocky. Let's go, CTM fam. Daily, weekly, Heath low resistance 41 to. Did we both call out? Look at that. So you put it in the comments, and then I talked about it shortly after. I guess you put it in a comment there, Ajith. Yeah. 45.223 is what I have on my chart as the next resistance. Just jumping in. Thanks for going live. No problem. So yeah, I'm going to try to go live. I have my calendar blocked off at noon to 1 p.m. Central Time to go live, to do lives every week moving forward. So we'll at least try to do that. And then as time permits, we'll do our late night crypto and rum as and I've really got to get back to a couple times a week just going over all the major news in crypto and putting out a 10-minute video on that. That's a goal of mine to moving forward. This week I got completely slammed. I had some deliverables I had to get out that were kind of time consuming. Plus yesterday my day was completely lost because little crypto Riker got really sick. He had 104 fever, was puking all over the place. It was not a pretty sight. And as a first-time parent, the first time your kid gets that sick, I was freaked out. So I basically spent all day letting him sleep on my chest and just holding him, making sure he was good because I was a little bit concerned. But we got some medicine regiment and things are looking a lot better today. So he's definitely seems like he's feeling a lot better. So hopefully things are on the up and up. All right. Cannot help but feel really excited about the breakout. I don't know about you guys. Well, I'm cautiously optimistic, right? So we can get excited, but and the timing of this, if y'all remember, when the sell-off very first started, I was saying that I thought that there would be a couple months of consolidation, and my time frame was by the late July we'd see some strength in late July, and then all through August we would have a good run up into the prior all-time high. And then September we might snap it. Now I did put out that tweet when we closed a daily over here. We got below this weekly level, and I will say I'm now wrong about that. Let's see here. What was it? We closed below the 50 week. Was it? I got the 200 EMA here. I think we closed below the 50 week or something for a brief period of time. And so I said, if we got a weekly close below that, which we did, which was a fake out, that our timing was off. So my model specifically. My Bitcoin, long-term Bitcoin model, let's go take a look at it here, needed to be rethought. So basically what I was saying was the 4-year, the way I had timed it was from bear market low to bear market high. to me, that's like when I talk about the 4-year cycle, that's more the 4-year cycle. It's if you look at the amount of time from cycle low to cycle high, back to cycle low, back to cycle high, it's pretty close to, I mean, it's obviously centered right around the halving. But it is pretty close to 4 years, and that's the 4-year timing I was talking about when I said that, that's, I think, shot. Because my thought was from the bear market low here, back, which was 511 days, I didn't see how we could hit a peak in 500. Let's just measure this out. So this was 511 days from the bear market low right there to the halving. So if we move this same line forward, we go 511 days from the halving out. That means that we would need to put a peak in at October 4th, right? And so closing that weekly below it, I didn't think, and this is right in this little band right here between these two potential peaks right here. I didn't see how we could get a blow off top peak at that point, but it's bounced back remarkably fast, faster than I thought, getting back through all that resistance. So I guess I was wrong, and we could still see our blow off top peak, early October. I mean, it could be, I've got a range here, different ways of measuring it. I've got a range of as early as September the 20th out to October 25th. But Ken Stanfield, KS model, he's talked a lot about the fact that we could have like a third, top in this cycle, where the cycle peak is actually further out in 2021, something akin to, we had this kind of, the shakeout happened on the 2017 market right around the same time from halving to peak in the 2013 halving. So it's after 364 days, right around here, is when we had a really bad shakeout somewhere over here. And then it resumed up. So, I think Ken's thinking was this rounded top that we had and the bear market we just had was right around the same exact time as the 2013 peak. And so we could have another peak and then a sell-off and then a third peak even. So I'm watching for that as well. I still don't see, really honestly, how you see this model. I don't see how we get to the numbers we were looking at, projection wise, 160 to 288,000, really 288,000. I don't see how we get to 288,000, which is the number I come up with multiple ways as a potential peak by early October. I'm not seeing how that happens. And so if it gets pushed, if we do get, say, a peak, say it's 288,000 and it's out here in late December, then that metronome of the being able to time it from the bear market low to the bear market high is definitely off. If it does somehow blow off top peak in October, then wow, that's going to be amazing. So we'll be watching very closely price action through this little bit of range right here and see what happens. So the possibilities I see are we peak, we do like Ken thinks, maybe it hit 80,000 or something, or maybe hit 100,000 in this, like you see here, this channel I have. Let's zoom in on this channel. So my thoughts are perhaps if we continue the channel that I have drawn, my channel, we could get a peak as high as 150,000, I guess, in that range right there. You could hit the 160,000 mark, right? That would be a really huge run, but it's not unprecedented. Look at what Bitcoin did from 10,000 up through 42,000 right there, right? So it'd have to be another run that looks about like that. I suppose it's possible we could get up to 100 something thousand and then sell off again and then bounce again up here. The other possibility I see is that this model is indeed wrong. We come up to the midpoint here, which is going to put us right into resistance right there. And we end up consolidating here and then peaking between these two, which would be, a variation of Ken's model would be to have us peak between these two after, kind of a second, maybe rolling peak and then eventually the blow off top. I could also see us, so I could see any variation of this playing out. But the reason I say I'm also cautiously optimistic is, I don't know, this is playing out pretty remarkable in all honesty, how closely correlated all this is. So we'll just see what happens. But I'm still going to be cautious. I'm not going to be crazy about it. But we had a good entry, and if we close, especially if we close above the most important trend line and the 120-day SMA, I'll be feeling a lot better. Let's just see what the daily close is. Today's close is going to be really today, maybe tomorrow. I mean, what if it pushes down and closes above the most important trend line but below the 120? I'll feel great about that. That'll be fine. We can consolidate a little bit between the two of them. All right, let's take a look at comments. Can I please look at Theta? Yeah, I can. 1 second. Let's look at Theta right now. It should be on my... It's probably not on this list. It's probably in this master list of all kinds of stuff. Yeah, there it is. I have it on the BTC chart. So, Theta BTC. Yeah, look at that. So, we had this down. So, right, it could be like a gigantic bull flag on Theta here. But yeah, we had this midpoint trend line. You've broken back above this midpoint downtrend trend line. I don't know why these are fuchsia colored, but we'll just leave it. I was trying different colors, I think, for visibility on the stream a while back. Can you guys see the charts okay? Not out of the woods yet, guys. Need a daily close above 42.6 or better yet, 45.2. 45.2 would be quite the daily close. Yeah, so that is looking good versus Bitcoin. Here's the thing. Right now, when Bitcoin's about to enter its expansion phase, the way that I play this is I'm very focused on the versus Bitcoin chart. Now, if the versus Bitcoin chart is setting up for a potential breakout, then I will go ahead and take entries versus the USD. But basically, either I'm going to be buying spot Bitcoin or I'm going to be buying leveraged Bitcoin. The only way that I'm going to take trades on either alts versus Bitcoin or even alts versus USD is when I see that the Bitcoin chart is going to be when I see a breakout potential on the chart versus Bitcoin, because either so my capital is either going to be used in just leveraged Bitcoin, which is really what I'm focused on at this moment in time. Is I'm just focused on leveraged Bitcoin for this breakout. But Theta, the chart's looking great. So I think if you're really a big proponent of the project, it's in a downtrend, but it's in this intermediate term. I got the downtrend, but this is kind of a giant bull flag, and you did break above this midpoint here. So you could play. Let's see what this looks like here. You see, I've got these resistance levels up here. Let's draw this one in right here. That's what you just came into right there just now. If you break that, this is your next level here, and we'll just get rid of this one. All right. Yeah, so this is a good little play right here, right? So you've broken above this trend line here, this downtrend trend line. If you can get a close above this level, I guess it's 0.00017. So we'll just call it 17,000, 17K sats, I guess, roughly. If you get a close above this, you can look for a little play on this bounce from here to there, which, you could go higher into that trend line, but you're going to find resistance here first. So my guess is that you'd hit this, consolidate, at least under resistance there, and then break up to the trend line and then see what happens from there. But a couple take profit targets if you're trading this, if you're actively trading Theta versus BTC or Theta USD even, keep an eye on this chart. But I like it. I like that other project. I like the chart. Looks good. Let's go. But here's the thing. I still am on the camp that I believe, and these moving averages don't matter, I think this was a false breakdown. So we had this little bit of pattern here. And I did not take action on any alts because I felt like with the EIP 1559 news, this was all a false move. So it looked like we had a breakdown of this potential breakout here. So we had this, if you draw these 2 points here. But what's more important to watch is the horizontals, first of all. And this is like the major downtrend trend line, which we're back above. But the horizontal levels, if you look at what actually happened, we broke up. We came back to retest this support right here on Bitcoin dominance right there. So that's what you actually came back to test. Get rid of this one. Well, you see both of them there, but yeah. And now we're resuming off. So, if you really look at this from, it looks like kind of an ascending wedge potentially now starting to form. I'm not going to worry about that pattern too much. I still think Bitcoin dominance is going to bounce when Bitcoin breaks out. That's my kind of base case. Again, I've been watching for this range right here. Let me draw a box for you guys and my range that I'm watching for take profits. So when I take profit on this chart, it's simply I'm going to start buying altcoins. So when we get in this area right here, I'll be pretty aggressive about looking for all my favorite little altcoin projects and adding bigger bags of altcoins as we get up into here. And there's a world where we come into resistance at 50 and then go ahead and curl down. But again, my base case is we break out on Bitcoin. Bitcoin does its run. See where we're at with Bitcoin. Bitcoin runs a little bit, and then we and alts lag a little bit here. So let me take a look at comments. What do we got? What do we got? Thanks, Harvard. Yes, little man's getting better. I sold at 41.5, expecting a down from resistance. You sold just now at 41.5? Oh, is the break? Yeah, coming into resistance. Yeah, you got to look at the you know, in the future, if you sold coming into resistance, I mean, you didn't do the wrong thing from a lot of cases, but you broke the trend line. If you look at how I have the trend line drawn, I just want to show you this. So for me on this chart, I'm on Coinbase. That peak, and that peak were almost perfectly aligned. Let me get rid of this downtrend. It's almost perfectly aligned. So at 41.5, what you'd done is you sold into this resistance right here, but you'd barely broken above that trend line. And so, you know, for a lot of reasons, you did kind of the right thing. I would say 42.2 was the better resistance to try and sell it into, but, you know, it's probably going to give you another entry here before too long anyway, honestly. We got this is the key level for me, right? So most important trend line, this. Well, you had a good pop out of here. Let's go check what the shorts are doing right now. Hold on. I saw the shorts were starting to ramp up on it. Oh, they're still way down. This is Bitfinex though, so there might be other places. I saw somebody posting that the shorts were ramping up, but apparently not. And this is just Bitfinex though, so I mean, it could be a lot of shorts somewhere else. All right, take a look at comments again. Have I seen gold? I've seen gold before. I have some gold. Uh-oh, I just messed up my chart. Let's go look at the gold chart. Oh! What's happening to gold? Bitcoin's breaking out and gold's breaking down. Well, you know, it's getting supplanted. Why hold gold when you can have you can hold Bitcoin on a decentralized ledger? Let's see what the rest of the economy. Okay, so I've got this wedge pattern we broke down here on silver, which is not good because silver is my bigger of the two. I have more silver than I have gold. But that's okay. I've got a lot more Bitcoin. So, oh, the dollar's breaking up. Interesting. Interesting. S&P's breaking to the upside with the dollar. The dollar. So what are yields doing? Do I have yields somewhere on here? Huh. Fascinating. I haven't worked at the yields chart in a long time. Interesting. Let's take a look around at the broad markets here. ETH is doing good. Oh, we want to talk about EIP 1559. Check BTC Euro, please. That trend line is already broken. I think BTC USD will just follow. Good observation. Maybe something that we should be keeping our eye on there too. Oh yeah, look at that. On the Euro. Fascinating. So we had a breakout retest resumption on the Euro. I used to, you know, what's funny is when I was more actively trading Bitcoin earlier this year and late last year, I was watching the Euro charts. I actually would trade versus the Euro. I actually took Bitcoin and like Ethereum and Bitcoin entries versus the Euro, just because, you know, knowing a little bit about Forex, I saw the Euro was weakening versus the dollar, so it was the better trade, right? I was going to get more juice out of taking a trade Bitcoin versus a falling Euro than versus a stronger dollar. Yes, so that probably means that the Euro is losing ground. Let's go to Forex over here. Where's our Euro USD at? Oh yeah, we're coming back down out of that. Little head and shoulders almost. Not quite. It's good. Oh, you know. So this is my, for me in the euro, when we broke this, I thought we were going to get a much bigger move than we were. We didn't get that move, did we? Let's go to the 3-day. Yeah, in this downtrend, we broke out of there. Man, I expected a much bigger move in the euro, but it's still consolidating over here above that downtrend. That was a bit of a pop and a fizzle. Didn't really do much, did it? Obviously, last time I looked at this chart, that was green, so it's been a few days since I've looked at it. Or I just didn't update this line here. There's your next support right there coming in. Let's see what happens as the Euro USD comes into that support. But, you know, to your point, so if the Euro's losing versus the USD, if you have access to trading versus the Euro in your platform, you know, it's just a small little ad. If you think this is going to be breaking down, then you could take trades on Bitcoin versus the Euro as opposed to Bitcoin versus the dollar, which I will have to go look at now. I'm gonna put some work on this chart here and see if I think. The problem is there's a lot of support right here that was built after that breakout, all this consolidation. So it seems like it's probably more likely that the Euro USD is coming into support here, and I wouldn't want to be trading against the Euro by going long Bitcoin Euro as the Euro is coming into support here versus the dollar. I mean, it's kind of a convoluted, complicated way of looking at it, but I think for now, based on what I'm seeing, until something happens with this support level, I will be sticking with my Bitcoin USD trades for now. And if this were to break down, especially if we get back below this trend line, then maybe as this breaks down, it'll be worth alt versus Euro trades as this comes into the support over here. Juice your returns just that little bit more. It's kind of complicated though, but hey, I've done it. Yields up, dollar up, gold down, Bitcoin up. This all makes sense to me. I know. It's like, it's the markets, man. What, I don't know. It's, if you don't think it's somewhat manipulated, then I'll tell you. But you know, there's a difference between understand the markets are probably manipulated and whining about it. It's like there's no point in whining about it. Like let's just figure out what's being done to manipulate the markets and follow along and profit from it. I guess is the only thing we can do, really, right? All right, Brandon, if you were in an open leverage position since 38.5, would you take profits at 35K or lower? Max asked me that. Let's see here, Max. Let me take a look. So you've been in leverage since, congratulations, by the way, if you are in leverage since 38.5, good entry. You probably bought coming into support over here. Great job. I thought about it. I really did, but it's against my rules to buy into support coming into resistance. I only take the breakout of the resistance, but I will try the same move coming back into support post breakout. That's my rule, right? I've got too much resistance here, so I can't take leverage, you know, on support test coming into resistance, because there's too much of a chance that they roll over. But I will take momentum breakout plays as it starts the breakout process, and then I'll buy back into support, and then obviously a resumption off. I'm just sharing that. You may have had a different read on the market. 38.5 though, if you had a leverage position at 38.5, which I can see how you definitely would have seen some opportunities to do so. 38.5. So if I would have entered at 38.5, I would have entered at 38.611, I think, based on what I see here on my chart. Why do I have that level? Why did that level change when I changed time frames? I just not realized that. 38, I thought it just said 38.611. Is that a 12-hour? Yeah, there's my 12-hour right there. So that's a tough one. 38.5. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to line up what you were seeing. Maybe this. Try and line up exactly what somebody would have been seeing that would have taken a 38.5 entry, and then I will tell you, you know, what I would have done if I would have seen something and taken an entry there. So okay, so I guess on a broader time frame, I'm gonna leave it here on the 4-hour because I can kind of see it. This is a nice big breakout. This is a very extended retest, and this is a resumption. So one of these resumption plays here at 38.5 could have been an entry. Okay, so if you were in there, my stop loss would have been below that wick. I would have gone below this support here, and then I would have found that wick there. So I'd have sized my position, put a stop loss at 36.2 myself. Okay, so that's how I'd have played that. So if I was in at 38.5, I likely would have had a stop right around 36.2, it looks like, based on what I'm seeing here. Okay, two support levels below my entry, 1, 2, and then find the wick on the time frame, the wick low of the time frame, and put my stop loss right below that and size my position accordingly. All right, so I would have done all that. Now with this breakout, if I was in this position, I would be moving my stop loss right now up to right here. 2 support levels, 1, 2. So 40. This is like getting to be a little bit busy of a chart. Let me delete some of these lines here. All right. So yeah, my original stop loss would have been right here at 36.2. I'd be moving it up 2 support levels below the current price. 1, 2. Wick low below that, especially this key one, and the support I'm counting is this trend line. We're above it, we closed a 4-hour above it, so now I count that as support if I'm on this time frame. And now I count this 45 as support, so I find the wick low there, and I would set my stop loss in profit at 39.6. So yes, if I was in that trade, not financial advice, this is just the way I would manage it. If I was in that trade, if price were now to fall all the way back to 39.7, I would have a stop loss there, and I would be thus taking profit there. You see, I had this launch angle on the 1 hour too. I might, if I was in your position, short circuit that stop loss with a manual sell if we were to lose that trend line. Bounce off of this 45, come back into this as resistance and curl over. So, if I saw us fall down, and we got a bounce off of 45, but then I saw price come back into the trend line, and I see it curling over, heading back down, either right here, or as we break through right there, I might go ahead and juice a little extra return by going ahead and manually closing the position and getting out of the stop loss ahead of my actual stop loss with an intent to buy back these support levels. That's how I would personally be trading around that. So that's my opinion. But yeah, sure. If we fall back down now, right, and basically if you get below 40,500, I'd be willing to take profit. I mean, considering where's my current stop loss? I don't even know. Where's my stop loss at right now? My stop loss right now is right around there, right? What exactly what I talked about. 39.8 is where my stop loss is now on the time frame I'm trading on. So, I'm willing to take a loss at 38.98. So I definitely, if I was entered at 38.5, I'd be willing to take a small profit at that. All right, I hope that helped. Not financial advice, just my opinion. What do you think about Filecoin versus BTC? What do I think about Filecoin versus Bitcoin? Well, this is this little wick. Let's find a different feed. Hopefully that wick doesn't exist on. Let's go to the Coinbase. There you go. Moving averages don't matter to me on alts versus BTC charts. All I care about is patterns on these charts. And horizontals are the most important. Daily horizontals. All right, there you go. Yeah, looks good. You might be trying to come into a bottom. And heck, I might just go take a trade on this. This is definitely one of those. This is a Heath trade. We're post breakout level. Getting a phone call. I don't know who that is. Post breakout of this like downtrend consolidation potentially. You've got this Heath level, this daily support here. That was also the daily close low here. You tested that exact level right there. Another test coming back into that level might be worth a stab at an entry. And then a resumption off of there, of course. You had a 12-hour breakout, retest, resumption already. So I think, and this is a really good potential trade, as you come into your retest. So you see the wick, this wick right here, this resumption level, that was your entry right there. Now you're getting a second shot at it. If you get more consolidation, you could redraw your test wick. That's the current test wick I would use. That's a pretty good test of that level. This is the test wick I would use. That would be my entry on this particular trade, and I might go take this trade. I like it. I really like this setup, so I might go place an order here after we're done. Not financial advice. I would probably put a small entry on this and go ahead and give it a wider stop loss, but I'd be really tempted to put a tight stop loss right here. On resumption, yeah, I would. So if you're going to buy the resumption, I would go ahead and put a really tight stop loss and just put it right underneath the support level. Because if you don't break out and just snap and go, it's going to just flitter around here. And it's worth getting stopped out just not to waste your time watching this trade. If it comes back into the support level and I'm trying to buy support for a launch, I probably would go ahead and just do a stop here. But you know, there's a case to be made for putting a pretty tight stop right underneath there. Maybe this wick low or something is your stop. That'd be a really nice tight. So if you did an actual trade idea on that, let's take a look what that would look like. Where's my trade idea thing? I never use this on my own charts, so sorry, I can't ever find it. Is it up here at the top? Where is that trade idea thing at? Long, it's a long entry, right? Where does it say? It says long, right there. All right, so your initial take profit would be probably right there. You see that? Nah, maybe right there. Yeah, I'd be looking for a little bit of a launch. That's a really nice trade setup. Actually, what'd I do? I messed that up, didn't I? There we go. So if you were to take like a really tight, that's a huge 10-to-1. Those are worth doing a couple of those in there. Now, if you wait for this breakout, your initial take profit, I mean, you could do, that would be a decent little 2-to-1. This would be your initial. I would want to push it to here. That's where I'd be looking to push it, somewhere in that range up there for initial, for really a take profit on this trade. So, and you're hoping it just pops and goes. Now, I probably wouldn't take this trade versus Bitcoin though for many reasons. I would flip over to my file USD chart. I would probably go ahead and take this trade versus, because it's going to look the same probably. Since Bitcoin's been consolidating, basically your altcoin to the USD charts are going to look very similar. But yeah, similar setup here. Obviously, I had looked at this before actually. This is a resumption already right here, but an entry would have been right there. I missed that one. I was watching this, by the way. I missed it. But yeah, my take profit would probably initial entry there, stop loss right below there, and my initial take profit would be right here. But like always, I would have drawn a launch angle trend line. And if we didn't break the trend line coming into that resistance, I just would have kept pushing that trade for profit, right? But if you hit this resistance and break over and lose this trend line, that's when I look to take profit. All right, let's take a look at the comments here, and I had some very distracting music on the whole time there. Okay, how's Umbrella looking? I like Umbrella, the project. I was planning to talk about it a little bit more, but I didn't get a chance to get that organized, by the way. So, good thing you asked about Umbrella. So Umbrella was one of the ones I was going to bring up as a potential strong play. And here's why. I went and looked at the market. So I looked at Chainlink, right? I think Chainlink's a fantastic, just long-term hodl position. They have basically a monopoly on the Oracle space right now, right? And it's just a super huge project. So I think this is a great long-term hodl, and I trade it because it's fairly liquid still too. And it does its own thing. But I was looking at this chart, and my other favorites are the graph and API 3. But I looked at this, the graph is 33. It's got a $3 billion market cap. I did not realize. I actually I didn't put two and two together on that. The graph is maybe ahead of its skis in size. Now it's got a ton of potential, and I love it. And I have a small bag of it, but it's such a large market cap. And then API 3 is my other favorite one. Another one I was going to talk to you guys about is Ravencoin. I think this has a lot of potential, by the way, for a couple of reasons. So Umbrella, let's go find API 3. So the graph is like on the top, well in the top 100. Yeah, API 3 is over here at 400 something. I love this project. This is a great one to have a small bag on. I think it's a really interesting way that they're doing oracles via programmability. Why is this taking so long? There we go. So this is a great one. It's 430 something, and then CoinMarketCap. Umbrella. Umbrella is the other kind of a startup oracle. It's number 1223. So here's the, when I look at this, and was it you, T-Carp, that's asked me several times about Umbrella? And I don't know if it was you, the same person. Somebody's been asking me about it on Twitter a lot too. But I started doing my research on Umbrella, and I can't find any red flags, which is like, if I can't find any red flags, it probably means it's a legit project. So I couldn't find any red flags on it. And I was going to do a little more research before this live today to talk more about it, but I went early because of the price action going on. So we'll save this for a deeper conversation for the future. But we're definitely going to have to add Umbrella to the list of oracles to watch. I love the oracle space. If I were to say my favorite space to play, NFTs have been huge, but long term, I think oracles, have more value long term than NFTs even. So, Ravencoin. The reason I bring up Ravencoin is with Ethereum. Look, it's moving right on time. Perfect. Ravencoin is a mineable, proof of work mineable coin, but it has a lot of unique properties. And what I want to talk about 1,000 times more with the block reward of 5,000 rate, block time reduced, blah blah blah, 1,000 times more than BTC, mining algorithm, Kapow. Intended to mitigate, so it mitigates centralized mining, so it's a GPU mineable coin. I think with Ethereum, EIP 1559 now behind us, and with it moving to proof of stake, you could play Ethereum Classic because that's what the miners are going to be, especially after the Thor upgrade like a year ago. Ethereum Classic is a very, going to be a pretty profitable mining coin, but I think Ravencoin. And then XMR, Monero is the other one that's like CPU mineable, which is really interesting. So these coins that are ASIC resistant or even GPU resistant, like Monero, that really require a CPU to mine them. I think they're going to gain a lot of interest. And with the whole meme coin thing having played out, the whole Doge and Shiba and everything else, I kind of wonder if these mineable coins. And the thing is with Doge, it could be going to proof of stake too, with Elon kind of getting involved with the project. I wonder if they're not going to go proof of stake even. But they're merge mined with Litecoin right now, so that's good for Doge. But I kind of think that these other mineable coins are going to get some attention, and maybe that's what causes. We've had misconfig on Twitter talking a lot about the Litecoin, trade. Maybe that's what causes Litecoin to break out a little bit too, is that the interest in mineable coins. But the problem with Litecoin is there are ASICs for Litecoin and now Dogecoin because they've merged mined. Whereas Ravencoin is still very GPU mineable. So I think this is going to get a lot of attention from the gamers, the people that are have these awesome gaming PCs that they then also mine coins at night and when they're not playing games, right? And so if they're mining it, they're using it, they're talking about it, it's going to go. But it's already up to 89. It's already back up to 89 here. Let's take a look at the BTC chart on Ravencoin. So I did want to talk about both Umbrella and Ravencoin. So we'll do a future session today. We're going to stay focused on the Bitcoin breakout. But I'm just going to queue up that these are the two that I'm planning to talk more about here in upcoming. Yeah, you can see Ravencoin starting to break out here. So as a GPU miner myself, I'm trying to just keep my pulse on this space and see where interest is going. And I think Monero, Ravencoin, and ASIC, if you're willing to ASIC mine, you still have Bitcoin and Litecoin, and Doge now is very profitable to mine still. But these GPU mineable coins I think are just have a lot of potential. All right, so Umbrella, Raven, we'll queue up a future session to really focus on them. Let's get back to Bitcoin and Ethereum. We talk about EIP 1559. How somebody E3K this weekend. The techie talk. I think my thinking is that this current breakout on Ethereum was a false breakout, specifically versus BTC. Now its price versus the USD. What did you ask? 3K this weekend? Yeah, sure. If Bitcoin continues to break out, absolutely. You see it's coming into resistance right now. Ethereum is. I would be a little bit surprised if we didn't get a little bit of sell the news I know that EIP 1559 is burning coins like crazy right now, but with Bitcoin breaking out, it could just break out and snap and go. So we'll just keep an eye on that for sure. I do think, though, the ETH BTC chart, I am expecting this to be a little bit of a false breakout and us to come back into support before breaking out bigger later this year. And the reason is, if you just look at, let's just think this through. So EIP 1559 is basically a 3x halving. So it's basically taking Ethereum from an inflationary to almost completely neutral. Some blocks are deflationary. There have been a few blocks where more ETH was burned than created. But if we look at just how the timing has always worked out, look at the halving, especially last halving. The halving price was pretty sideways here this halving for a little bit, then it took off, right? So from the halving date of November, price really took off in January. All right, it's a couple months lag. And so this is a 3-day chart. And then here, the halving happened in 2016, and we had a big sell-off right after the halving. And it was, a couple months until price really regained after the halving. And then here again, the halving happened. There was a build-up. Obviously we had the Black Swan, a bounce back recovery into the halving. And the halving itself, there's a lot of buying into it, but then there's a little bit of a sell the news the couple months after, and it kind of it just goes sideways. And then it broke out, right? So then the supply shock really started to take effect. I kind of expect the same thing from Ethereum, to be honest with you. This is my intuition. I'm gonna watch the charts. I'm gonna play the charts first and foremost. My intuition tells me that what's actually going to happen here is that Ethereum is going to consolidate, kind of go sideways while Bitcoin breaks out. And it might break above. It might hit 3K, sure. And it just consolidates. Maybe it consolidates in this range even. Which would be, obviously really good if you're holding Ethereum. It's going to be good. It's not going to tank, obviously. You have to post EIP 1559. But there's going to be some sell the news pressure, I do believe. So I think Ethereum is just largely going to lag Bitcoin here for just a little bit. But the supply shock of Ethereum is going to take effect at some point, and I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be super exciting to trade when that happens. And so I'm kind of thinking, what is this, July? Or it's July, it's August, yeah, August. So I'm thinking especially think about the timing of this. If we get a peak, and if it's a blow off top, the final peak of this whole cycle, or if it's another peak ahead of a third peak, that like KS model. But if we get a peak on Bitcoin, right where we were expecting it all along, right here in this range of the late September to late October, let's compare ETH BTC and see, obviously last cycle, I got to move this to the left 1 second. Visual order, move to our pin to scale, new scale, pin to new, left scale. All right, let's go back to log. Okay. So last cycle, we had these two peaks. Ethereum peaked versus Bitcoin really strong, and then Bitcoin did some consolidation, sell off, and then we lost a lot of ground on Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So it was a big pop, and then after the peak of Bitcoin, when Bitcoin sold off again here, money rotated into Ethereum, and it made another big move. All right. So what I kind of think is going to happen here, you see how it consolidated here and then it fell off a cliff as Bitcoin. It didn't so much, Ethereum versus USD didn't fall off a cliff. Ethereum just kind of went sideways while Bitcoin broke out. So this when it lost ground versus Bitcoin was Ethereum just kind of consolidating sideways. And then this is when Ethereum popped in price and Bitcoin, was selling off, right? So I kind of think the same thing might happen here. We get a little bit of sell-off. I don't expect it to be as big, but maybe we lose this support even. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe we hold the support. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But I kind of expect us to consolidate and then maybe lose ground versus Bitcoin while Bitcoin breaks out. But then I expect what I'm also thinking might very well happen. You see how last cycle we had a huge peak in ETH versus BTC and then a smaller peak. I wonder if this cycle we don't get it reversed, where we had a smaller peak and maybe we just go sideways here for a little bit. We don't lose ground like I'm talking about, which actually kind of makes, I think I feel more comfortable saying that than that Ethereum is going to lose a whole bunch of ground to Bitcoin after EIP 1559. Maybe we just consolidate here for a bit. And then we get a bigger peak, the second part. I would not be, because of EIP 1559 is going to change the equation so much. And of course, last cycle, everybody was looking for what's the next Bitcoin. Like, what's the next coin that could replace Bitcoin? And while people still are talking that narrative a little bit, I think most people understand now, and more people are going to continue to understand that Ethereum and Bitcoin are very different things, right? Ethereum is a utility coin, decentralized application on a blockchain, type of thing. And Bitcoin's a store of value, hard money, the reserve asset, yada, yada, yada. They're two very different things, really. And so, as Ethereum's been more built out, but the effects of EIP 1559, I think, will be felt more over here. So, as Bitcoin makes its move, and if Bitcoin does a blow off top through here, especially, and Ethereum versus Bitcoin is losing ground, right? And then as the gears reverse, if we get a reversal of the gears here, as Bitcoin sells off, we could have a monster move as the supply squeeze in Ethereum is taking effect through this, through the end of the year and early next year. That is kind of what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this as a kind of a false breakup. We consolidate here. And then sometime in October, November, when the supply shock is fully set in for Ethereum, after Bitcoin starts to sell off, we get this huge monster inversion. It's my gut feeling. I don't know that. I'm going to play the charts, of course. Technically speaking, we did have an entry on ETH BTC over here. Let me get rid of this. Close this. All right, so we did get a 12-hour entry, but I saw this resistance here and I never took action because I was afraid this exact thing was going to happen, or we kind of broke out. But this was all, if my son wouldn't have been sick yesterday, I would have scalped this for 100% for sure. I'd have been scalping this, but I was dealing with a sick child yesterday and I wasn't looking at this really. But I just had this feeling that we were going to have this like false breakup and then break back down. This was a beautiful scalp play for sure, but that'd have been hard to catch without getting stopped out even. But the more to the point is when do I rotate more into Ethereum? Like right now, Ethereum's like 5% or something like that on my holdings. And I'd like it, when this event that we're talking about, if it were to happen like I'm talking about, where we get this huge spike after Bitcoin makes its peak and sells off. Let's go to the weekly chart here on Ethereum Bitcoin. If we get this huge spike once the supply squeeze is set in, over here in October, November, I'll want to rotate my spot, 30, 40%, maybe 50% even into Ethereum, right? If we get all the signals and everything's all lining up like we think it might. So, it's going to be, I'll do a heavy rotation at the right time into Ethereum. The other small thing to keep in mind is Cardano is heading for its Alonzo hard fork, and it's beautifully coming into some support here on this uptrend versus Bitcoin, the ADA BTC chart. So what I'm really watching for is to see how price acts coming into this support level, and I'm really waiting to see when I should buy my Cardano, because Cardano, with the hype cycle with Alonzo going live, it's also going to pop versus Bitcoin. But again, it's just a matter of timing. As Bitcoin breaks out, obviously it's been losing ground here since this peak it made back in May. So it's just really a matter of trying to line this up. I think Bitcoin's going to break out here over the next month or so plus. So I think this will continue to consolidate in this range right here. Possibly. We'll see what happens, or maybe it gets up here. Obviously, I got a bunch of lines on this chart. I'm just trying to map out what market structure is going to look like. I don't want to miss the move, but I don't want to be too preemptive and just enter and be holding something that's losing ground versus Bitcoin. I'm really, really focused on trading Bitcoin leverage right now. That's what I want to get right at this very moment in time, is Bitcoin leverage, personally. Oh, no problem, Techie. Techie Talk. Thanks for the sub. Have you started looking at ADA ecosystem? Things like Ergo seem to be promising, mostly long-term holds. Yes, Ali, I have. I thought about, so I'm working on a video of like the 5 best cryptos for the second half of 2021, or for the something like that. And the ones I talked about today with you guys, API3, Umbrella, Ravencoin, those are 3 of the ones I'll probably have on that list. I really love the Oracle space, and I don't know about recommending the graph because it's gotten so big. I think it might be ahead of its skis. So I'm still loving API3, Umbrella, Ravencoin. I've got a couple of Polkadot projects that might be on the list, and I'm definitely looking at the Cardano ecosystem. The problem I'm having with the Cardano ecosystem is there's so many that I like. I have to be very judicious, and at the end of the day, really, I'm still in the camp of holding Cardano alone is all you need. And I don't, The problem is spreading. There's so many different potential projects that are coming. They're going to be going live on Cardano that I don't want to spread myself too thin and have too many that end up not working out and just miss the boat on just having just holding base Cardano and holding a lot of ADA, and then having the winners and just the winners of the ecosystem of Cardano are going to push Cardano higher, right? So I don't feel the need to be trying to pick the winners at this very moment in time. As we go live with Alonzo, my focus is let's just hold a nice big bag of ADA, and then as the ecosystem fleshes itself a little bit more, then we'll be picking up opportunities in projects in the Cardano ecosystem. I will probably feature one of them in that video for the second half of the year. So Cardano itself plus here's one project, and I'm trying to decide right now. So, hey Brandon, will it be sort of a hedge when Bitcoin has a big correction to short an alt? I wouldn't think so, Miguel, because the alts, again, let me just show you this back on my, go back to the Bitcoin chart, go back to VLX. Let's go to the log chart, 3-day. I'm going to throw on here ETH USD so you can kind of see. If you're trying to short an altcoin, and I use Ethereum as a proxy, right? There's going to be many altcoins that, Ethereum itself is going to probably act a little bit differently this cycle. But Ethereum's a good proxy just to kind of see how the market behaved around certain events, right, in last cycle. So you see here, this is my BLX chart. This is ETH. This is the orange. I'll make it purple just to kind of respect ETH's color. All right, so you see here those ETH BTC pops we talked about earlier happened right here, where Ethereum USD went huge, and then the ETH BTC chart was like this, right? It was like huge, and then ETH BTC lost ground through here because it was actually Bitcoin was breaking out and Ethereum was lagging, and then when Bitcoin sold off, look what happened to the price of. So if you're trying to hedge by shorting an alt, right as Bitcoin starts its sell-off, a bunch of alts are going to pop big, probably. Not 100% certain, but likely given the interaction, money is going to rotate. Initially, what's going to happen is start the sell-off as money is rotating from Bitcoin, as profits are taken largely off the table, but also a lot of profits can be moved to altcoins. And so this is when you're going to see that inversion happen. So initially, it won't be a great hedge. Now, as the bear market wears on, the name of the game, I think, will be just to be out of any large positions, oversized positions in alts or in crypto in general. Now, many of us will continue to have. I have some Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano that I'll never sell, and Chainlink, Polkadot's on the fence if I'll never sell it or not. But those four I have bags of. I will never sell. Right. So besides that, my tradable accounts, I will be out of Bitcoin when this happens here. But this little spot right here, this initial sell-off, you're going to see alts spike right through here. But then, of course, again, as the bear market wears on, hopefully we're well positioned, and what we're doing is we're starting to short alts and Bitcoin on our trading accounts with the purpose of accumulating more buying power to buy back at the capitulation low. So that's my play, right? So I'm waiting for the big blow off top. When I see it's clearly back, so I throw the 120 on here, right? When we're clearly back in a downtrend, we hit the 120 as resistance and we curl over, something like that, or maybe the 200, or the 120 is proving to be a little bit less effective this cycle, possibly if we break back up above it, especially. But we lost even the 200, so let's keep an eye on these. But there's going to be, I'll have my indicators lined up to tell me that we're in the bear market, and if we get into the bear market, then I will be shorting alts and Bitcoin as the charts line up, with the purpose of adding buying power to buy the capitulation low. So that's my play. Nice 8-hour close above 42. Cool. Let's go back to Bitcoin, see what Bitcoin's doing. Now, I think if you're really overly focused on alts, you might miss the boat here a little bit. That's just my opinion. See that they're going really low time frame, went to the 12-minute. Look at these Heath levels, man. Break above it, right back to it. Crazy, crazy stuff. So that white line right there, that's the high. That's a really important level. 42,237 is what I have as the level. That's a really important level to close above. If we can close above that, that's super significant. So we'll just see what happens there. No problem, Miguel. Yes, Umbrella has massive staking rewards too. Yeah, so you're way ahead of the curve there on Umbrella. Good job on that. And thanks for bringing it to our attention, because I wasn't watching it before you did. So you brought that. Credit goes to you. So on Twitter, if you want to hit me up on Twitter and say, hey, this is who I am on Twitter, let me know that this is tcarp77, so I can give you a shout out on Twitter too. That'd be great. I'm just looking at comments, guys. Sorry. I'm going to try to wrap up here. What time is it? 12:15. I'm going to go check on my little boy and see if he's gone to bed or how he's doing. I think the wife is keeping tabs on him pretty close, though. But if you're an open... Yeah, so I answered that question. Did I miss any questions? Just throw a comment on here if I missed a question. I'm trying to read back here. So this last consolidation was a flag. BNB. Yeah. So I'm going to read this comment. Krishna, then I'll look at BNB. So if this last consolidation was a flag, it would put the next short-term run to 50,000 out of 3 or 4 fib levels. Yeah, so great call there. If this is a flag, if this was like, I'm guessing, I don't know what time frame you're looking at, but if that was like a giant bull flag, that tent pole. So if we go, okay, I'm guessing this is what you're talking about. I don't know. I'm gonna look at this real fast. I do need to start doing some fib levels now. So once we get a breakout here, this is going to be a quick. I can throw a quick fib level on here too. I can see it with my eyes. It's going to be super easy to find the fib levels on this one. Fib extension levels. But we can also do a fib retracement. I haven't had the fib retracement on here even. What am I looking for? I'm looking for my misery tool. Where you at? All right. So the flagpole is 42%, if that's a bull flag. I think this is the flag you're probably talking about, and then another 42%. I've got a top, if this is a flag of, well, I guess it's more the measurement, not the percentage. I'm sorry, yeah, so I'm off in measuring that. So 1200, so 1200. 1270. Yeah, so right on 50K. Does that put us some interesting resistance here? Yeah, it puts us right here into this, probably a weekly level. Yeah, there's the weekly level right there that you'd want to watch. 49K. So, yeah, if this is a flag, this is a breakout of a flag. Let me go find a clean chart. This is getting really busy. I've been doing my weeklies as light blue. So when y'all see my charts, if you see a white line, that is a 12-hour or a daily level. If you see a blue line, that's a weekly level. So blue lines take precedence as we get closer to the end of the week and we go into a weekly close, but they can matter intraday or for daily closes, but the white lines are what matter on a shorter time frame more. So all right, let's go to a clean chart. I got some with nothing on it. There we go. And then we'll look at BNB and then we'll wrap up. I'm guessing you're kind of seeing that as a bull flag. I was debating whether this is some sort of flag or a pennant or what this was for a while myself, but I never really put any structure around this particular move right here just because I wasn't confident in the structure that I was finding here. But I mean, on the daily though, yeah, I don't know if that's what that flag you're talking about. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So if you do measure this as a tent pole, this is a jump structure. The bottom of that structure, the top of the next piece of structure is 50,000, which coincides with, this is a horrible, I hate this chart, currency.com, I need to get rid of it. Let's look at the Gemini weekly right there. Yeah, 49,000. So maybe a little bit ahead of that at this weekly resistance possibly. But likely what will happen is that move will come above it and then back below it, right? And this will be longer term resistance as the week close comes into play. But we'll see. I mean, price bounces right around those a lot. A lot. And then Grayscale LTCN. I haven't looked at LTCN. No problem, Max. BNB, and then we're gonna wrap. BNB, BNB, BNB. I was just making sure I didn't put. This is my BNB daily BNB BTC chart. So yep, look at that. I had this ascending wedge, and it definitely broke down. Consolidating here. Very long term. Get rid of all these old flags I had on here. We were in a big uptrend, and you're kind of coming to the bottom of. I don't know if this is all very valid structure anymore. I probably wouldn't work off of this anymore. Probably draw a new. Well, I kind of clearly see here. You have this high and this low, which are really close to each other, corresponding right there with that daily close low. So I'm going to draw a long-term horizontal line. It kind of splits this wick high horizontal. So I'm going to split that wick high right here, that wick low right there, and put it. I'm going to anchor it on this daily bearish close, and when the bulls regain. So the bears try to take over here. They lost. Bulls regain momentum. That's going to be support at 67.03 on the BTC chart. You got some consolidation coming in here. You're trying to put in support. I mean, the problem is you broke this support here. You got support here in the daily. At this point, I mean, all I'd be watching on the Bitcoin chart is just a breakout above this, structure here. That'd be the main thing. Let's go to BNB USD here. Do I have it even on my chart? It's probably on my USD chart. I need to organize these. There you go. BNB USD. It's just been trying to march its way back up, hasn't it? So I've got this key, same thing. I've anchored my key level at 260. That's the most important level. You broke above another level here that you set. A bounce, the last bounce off of 260, the bulls lost momentum at 327. Bears regained momentum. We hit that 260 line. Bulls made a strong reaction, pushed the price above the prior high, closed above it, closed one below it, and then we got an immediate bounce. So that's good. It's very good, very strong. Trying to bounce here. So now you're playing this range here. So this is the key level. I'll be watching 327. A pullback, because you had kind of a violation, I'll call it, of this level. What I'd be waiting for, this is a great Heath type of trade. I don't know if Heath would agree with me on this or not, but if you get a pullback, you see how this structure here, this 8-hour structure here, I'm going down to the 8-hour for a reason. This 8-hour structure here, I'm going to draw this 8-hour structure. We'll just draw it as like a different color so we can kind of keep it clean. There we go, whatever. This 8-hour structure here, we had several 8-hour closures below this prior daily high over here. So that was the daily low, close below. So we had a whole lot of trading down here, but then the bulls regained momentum and pushed it back above. So now what I'd be waiting for myself, if I get this to copyright, this might be kind of hard to see. Let me make this bigger. I'd be waiting for a pullback to this 8-hour structure right here. And then you have a beautiful entry for this play right here. So your take profit, I mean, there's going to be some other levels you're going to want to watch, and especially if you've mapped this out on an 8-hour, you're going to want to watch this 8-hour resistance here and here. But I would think that a trade all the way up to 429 is definitely possible, high possibility. So I'd be waiting for a pullback into this level right here, 329. It's not financial advice. This is what I might actually go take action on. Thank you for bringing this chart up. Beautiful. A pullback to 329 and a stop loss at 320. Beautiful. That's a really, really tight trade right there. Let's see here. Where'd my long? I can never find this thing very fast. It's because I don't use it. Use it for you guys to show you what I'm seeing. All right. That would be a huge trade. That would be a huge trade. You can't, realistically, you can't map. That's a 15-to-1. You can't look at take profit there just because you very likely are coming to resistance right here. But here's your initial real take profit on this bounce. You close above all that. You have to watch this level here, but I think you can push through that. I really would be watching. I mean, honestly, We initially mapped this out on the daily, so let's go see what the next daily resistance is. Yeah, I'd be looking for 370 for my initial. Let's see what happens into that. So how I'd play that? That's my daily. That's what I'd be wanting to push the trade to 370 at least. Otherwise, I'll just be happy getting stopped out, break even, right? So the way I'd play this trade, you come in, you get that test of 329, 327, somewhere in there. Take your entry. Either you get quickly stopped out as it slices back down below here, or you get your nice bounce, and then on that bounce, I would go down to the 1 hour, and I would map out my launch angle. So say the launch looks something like, I don't know, let's go find another launch. You get the idea. I'm just gonna put it on the chart. So say it launched, we took off, we got the bounce, we got a nice bounce on that, and we launched and we took off into this, and my trend line on the 1 hour looks something like this. If I hit this resistance and roll over, I'm gonna take profit early. But as soon as we bounce, basically as soon as we close above like this structure over here, I'm gonna move my stop loss to break even pretty fast on a bounce. Because what I want to short circuit on all these plays, when I do these Heath style plays, is I'm gonna quickly short circuit a quick rollover. So you see, if we were to get this touch and go, as soon as we get above, I'll find some market structure here in like the 4 hour or the 8 hour. As soon as we get above one of these, I'm gonna quickly move my stop loss to break even. And then I'm just gonna watch the trade. And if we get a good launch, and it launches here, and you get this nice uptrend, if you hit this resistance and roll over, I will probably short circuit, and I'd probably, the trend line probably wouldn't be that steep. It'd be something like this. Right. So you get some little wick lows. So if it breaks through, I'm gonna keep holding that trade and try to keep pushing it. But if it curls over, then I'll go ahead and take some profit and maybe leave on, take 50% off, leave 50% on, and either 50% is going to come back, get stopped out, or it's going to consolidate below resistance and then shoot up, and then I have the rest of the position on for this bigger move. That's how I'd play that trade. Or that's what I'd be wanting to play out. So, all right, I hope that was helpful on BNB. Not financial advice. None of this is. Thanks, everyone. Bitcoin survived a state attack without much of a hiccup. Hash ribbons will be huge. Buy DOT before you miss the chance. Polkadot set to clear $100 within a year. Yeah, it might be a little bit of spam in there, but I don't disagree with it, so I'm not going to take exception to it. Yeah, sure, DOT's fantastic. DOT's one of my 4 horsemen, right? I love DOT. So I've got a pretty much permanent hodl bag on DOT, and I'll be happy to add to it when the time comes. All right, guys, I'm going to light up our Doge-wave. And congrats to Bitcoin longs for a breakout today. Hopefully we get a good close above resistance. And I'm going to leave you guys with some chill Lee Rosevere wireless Doge-wave. See ya.